Hi, I'm Leah Woods, and I am here today in Lynn Szymanski's studio. And she's going to tell us a little bit about some of the work that she has made and also some of the things that she's thinking about creating in the future. So, Lynn, what do you have to show us today?
So I am trained as a furniture maker, but I also make sculpture, and I tend to kind of toggle back and forth between making furniture and sculpture. So I have a few pieces here to share with you. This is a side table that I made last summer, and this is um, two types of wood I'm using. The top is mahogany, which I've dyed, and the bottom is white oak, which I have put a liming wax on, which is a white wax to give it this sort of washed out look. The construction is very, very simple. It's a simple edge to face butt joint with the grain going in the same direction. And the top is simply fastened with figure eight tabletop fasteners, which allow the wood to expand and contract. Um, and it's a really simple piece, and it didn't require a lot of time, which is good, so I can price it at a lower price point because I can make these pretty quickly. And I've already sold one pair of these early in the fall, and I hope to actually get this pair to a gallery in the spring.
So, this table is simple, but it's really beautiful with the grain and you can see on the face, you said this is white oak, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can see the annual rings and that leg, the way that you have tapered the leg but allowed the face to just be a simple, almost like a canvas. It's really beautiful. So when you were thinking about making these tables, what went through your head in terms of inspiration? Like how did you decide you wanted to make side tables? Because you mentioned that you made two of these. And so how did you decide you wanted to make side tables? And then how did you come upon this shape, this design, and the coloration?
One thing that I learned from my mentor is when I'm building furniture, because it does sometimes take a long time, is to always build more than one. Even though you're making one of a kind, I try to make a couple different sets, and then I might vary the design a little bit. So I have another set of these where this piece is cut out a little bit. There's a little negative space at the bottom. And then the top is just kind of an oiled mahogany where it's not dyed. So it allows me to, when I'm designing, to kind of use some variations in the design and try them out. And some might be more successful than others. I'd actually made a sculpture that had sort of this very basic shape where it was narrow on the bottom and wider on the top. And so that was sort of the starting point for the design of this table. And then when I got the wood and I saw this grain here where this branch was, I definitely decided that I wanted to make that the focal point of this table. And sort of, I tried to arrange the cutting of the wood so it would be right in the front there. And it would have to be low enough so if I was looking at it, if it was on the floor and I was looking at it, that it wouldn't be hidden underneath the top.
So that's really cool. So it sounds like you had an idea in mind, but you were also open to the possibility that the grain of the wood could change your idea just a little bit. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, and I think in this case, because this was just so obvious and such a strong visual element, that I couldn't ignore it.
Well, great. And can you tell us about the little guys that you have next to the table? And maybe you could lift those up a little bit for the camera.
Yeah, so as I said, I toggle between making furniture and sculpture, and then these are just some very small, very quick tabletop sculptures that I made. And you can see that the finish is very close to what I did in the table. So I usually try to take one aspect of a previous piece and bring it into something totally different. So in this case, I made these out of mahogany, and then I used the same kind of die that I used on the tabletop. And in this case, I textured the mahogany before I put on the die, so it has a kind of a really rough look to it. And then this is a shape. I made another pair of these actually that are bleached oak that are actually shipping tomorrow to a show in Texas. So
may I see the little sculptures?
Yeah.
One of the things that is so cool about these sculptures is that they're pretty animated when you look at them, like they sort of look like characters almost. How did you come up with the shape for these?
Most of my carving is very, I would say, irregular, or very not as straight and at right angles as my furniture. So it allows me to work more intuitively. And as I'm removing the material, I start to see what the form is starting to be a little bit. And if I see something that I'm exposing through removing the material that I really like, I might accentuate that a little bit more. And I guess I used to work with a lot of potters, and I was really interested. I really liked how pottery had very irregular forms and really had the maker's hand was very clear in the form. So I always try to see if I can replicate that in wood in my sculptures. And to that end, I also have some little cups I wanted to show you. So this is a walnut cup, and these are all part of a bigger sculpture that I'm sending to a show in Boston next month. So that's a really good example of oiled walnut wood.
These are beautiful.
And then here's a cup that actually, this is bleached oak, and this is probably some scrap wood from this table, from the same piece of lumber.
The texture is fantastic in comparison, and the roughness of the oak one and the incredibly smooth surface of you said this was mahogany, oiled walnut. And yeah, they make such a beautiful pair. And you said these are part of a larger sculpture.
Yes, so I have actually 5 different cups in different woods. This one is made out of basswood.
Oh, wow.
And these go into a base, which is why I have these little pins in so they don't tip over. And then that base goes on this larger pedestal. It's about 5 feet tall.
Oh, so they can look like they're standing on their little tippy bottoms.
So I'll show you the base here. So this base just has some copper tubing in there.
Oh, wow.
And then I just place that piece of that, so that way it won't tip over.
Oh, that's really cool. How did you get the copper tubing in the block?
I drilled a hole the same size diameter as the outside of the tubing. And then I put a little bit of crazy glue in there and tapped it in and sanded it flush.
Oh, that's really cool. Nice. Well, thank you very much for sharing your work today.
Sure.
All right. Well, until next time.